Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching SAMAA News. Here are today's headlines. A new United Nations report has confirmed the active presence of Al-Qaeda and Fitna al-Khawari in Afghanistan, warning that terrorist groups are operating freely under the country's informal authorities. The UN's 46th Analytical Support and Sanctions Monitoring Report says the situation poses a serious threat to regional and global security, signalling a dangerous resurgence of terrorism in the region. US President Donald Trump has confirmed that he has authorized the CIA to conduct covert operations in Venezuela. Trump says his administration is also considering land-based military action inside the country, as tensions with Caracas intensify following multiple deadly US strikes on Venezuelan boats in the Caribbean in recent weeks. The Trump administration plans to shift terrorism prevention funds from Democratic-led states to Republican-led ones, under a $1 billion program created after September 11th. Records show Democrat states like California and Illinois face deep cuts, while Wisconsin and Ohio see major increases. US President Donald Trump says Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has pledged to stop buying oil from Russia. And Trump says he will next try to get China to do the same, as Washington intensifies efforts to cut off Moscow's energy revenues. Trump has recently targeted India for its Russian oil purchases, imposing tariffs on Indian exports to the US to discourage the country's crude buying. On the other hand, the Kremlin says it relies on official statements from India and China regarding their oil purchases. Neither New Delhi nor Beijing has confirmed President Trump's assertions so far. Also, President Vladimir Putin says Russia will produce 510 million tons of oil in 2025, a slight dip from last year, but in line with OPEC Plus targets. He confirmed Moscow's commitment to balancing global oil markets, while pipeline gas exports are expected to drop 10.7%. Putin said coal will remain vital and called for new support measures for the sector. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the federal government shutdown may cost the US economy up to $15 billion a day, a claim later corrected by the Treasury to $15 billion a week. Bessent told a news conference that the shutdown has started to cut into the muscle of the US economy. Planning has begun for an international force to go into Gaza to stabilize security in the Palestinian enclave. One of the top requirements of US President Trump's 20-point Gaza plan is formation of a US-backed stabilization force. The United States has agreed to provide up to 200 troops to support the force without being deployed in Gaza itself. French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has survived the first of two no-confidence votes, winning support from the Socialist Party after promising to suspend Macron's pension reform. The motion by France Unbowed fell short with 271 votes, below the 289 needed to topple his week-old government. Britain is facing a rising threat from hostile states, including Russia, Iran and China, while the terrorism risk remains huge, according to MI5 Director General Ken McCallum. He says there's been a 35% surge in people under investigation for state-linked activity, warning that these nations are increasingly using the same ugly tactics often employed by terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. The European Commission has proposed 4 major defence projects, including a counter-drone system and a plan to fortify the EU's eastern borders by 2030. The roadmap reflects rising fears that Russia could target an EU member in the coming years. Leaders of the 27 member states will now decide which projects move forward. China has lodged a strong protest with the United Kingdom over its latest sanctions targeting Russian oil companies and several Chinese refiners and port operators. Beijing called the move unilateral and said it had made solemn representations to London. Also, China has expressed dissatisfaction over US President Donald Trump's threat of 100% tariffs on Chinese exports. At a press briefing in Beijing, Commerce Ministry spokesperson He Yongqian urged Washington to correct its erroneous practices and respect past trade understandings. He also accused the US new energy vehicle subsidy of violating WTO rules, adding that Beijing will strengthen foreign trade policies to counter pressure. And the International Atomic Energy Agency has named a Chinese institution as its first Center for Research and Training in Fusion Energy. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi says the new center at the Southwestern Institute of Physics will play an effective role in driving fusion research and development. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.SAMAA TV. Thank you for watching SAMAA News.